Welcome to the Grief Bully Podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Thank you for joining our weekly discussion around grief, mental health, and your overall personal wellness. The Grief Bully Podcast will serve as a vehicle to help you navigate life's journey. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share the podcast with anyone in your life that you think it will help. Let's bully grief together. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Grief Bully Podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Guys, we are back in the building, rocking and rolling. Episode 146, and I am not by myself today. When we talk about the word testimony, overcoming, tragedy to triumph, man, my guest story is amazing. I'm elated to have her in here. I've known her since I was a teenager. Yeah, that's enough. Danita Hamilton's in the building. What's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. You feeling all right?
I feel all right.
Feel all right. So I am happy to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We've been trying to make it happen for a couple weeks now. We finally are able to do that. I know it's a different way because we're having a conversation with some headphones on and a microphone, but it's just conversation.
Right.
We literally known each other since we were kids.
Yeah.
Now we're here to share your story. So the Grief Bully Podcast, we really try to just talk about grief, but I try to stress this enough to people that grief isn't just loss of loved ones. It can be the loss of your life as the way you knew it. It can just be dealing with sorrow because by definition, that's what it is.
Right.
So if it's okay with you, we're going to kind of go back a little bit and then kind of bring us to where you are present day.
Right.
Not far back to when I was beating you in basketball. We're not going to go that far.
We're not going to go back
We're
that
not
far.
going to go that far.
I'm going to leave that to us. We're going to keep that.
But I told you I have the stat book, so I can bring it out.
Please do.
You're right, because that one game you did have more points than me. I'm looking at the stat book like, was I here? Did I play this game?
You played.
What was going on that day?
I believe you were there, but I
was there.
I just had to do my thing. That's it.
I understand that. It was some good competition back then. I don't honestly think the game is the same. I'll go to these games, they're score like 7 points the whole game.
Right.
When we're averaging like 20, 21 points a game.
We did 7 points in a quarter.
Exactly. I mean, if you're like myself, probably like 30 something a game, but
yeah, me too, about 35. But that's neither here nor there.
I know. But yeah, so if you were watching high school basketball in the South Jersey area back in 2000 to 2004 ish time, then you know number 21, then you know Hamilton, and you know Nicole Jones number 3.
Absolutely.
So moving forward, a couple years back now, 2017, when I got wind of this tragedy that happened, it was breathtaking. It was very. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot to just process, and just when you know someone and you see that they're dealing with something at such a magnitude is very heartbreaking. Yeah. And so to your comfortability, I kind of want to go back to that because I think what I know that the PS kind of will be here is life can truly change in a matter of minutes, seconds, really.
Yeah. So
what happened on that day, just from the beginning?
It was a regular day, going to work, listening to music, everything. I was grooving. Justin Timberlake. I remember this.
Remember the song?
Yeah, I remember the song and everything. And I was grooving, and I went to pass a car. I had just actually moved to Pinsgrove at this time, so I was taking another route. I didn't really know this route. I was about 3 weeks on this route. So I'm driving, and I passed the car legally. It was dotted lines. And then I went to pass another car, still legally, and then it turned into solid lines. So I had to make a quick decision, like, what is this car doing? What are we doing here? I tried to look over and to see what the car was doing, so I pushed on the gas, to speed up. Then when I looked back at the road, that's when my life changed. I tried to swerve, and we had a head-on collision that pretty much changed my life. And I thought it was a fender bender, but it goes from me thinking it's a fender bender to now a drastic life change.
Wow. So, okay. So we're just going to go back there. So you thought that it was a fender bender. So you felt the like some sort of accident, but then that's the last thing that.
I thought that me and the other driver that was, that we were pretty much head on because I was in the other lane, that I swerved quick enough that it might have just hit my driver's side door. So, driver's side, the front end, the lights and everything, because I thought I swerved quick enough. And next thing I know, I was body outside the car and feet inside the car and in the grass pretty much. And like that's kind of really all I remember. Then I remember a few people coming like, "Oh my God, it's this lady, oh my God, her legs." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm trying to get to work. Can y'all please just let me go to work? Like, I just want to get up." But I didn't realize that, I couldn't get up. But I just want to get up. I just want to go to work. I'm going to be late. Like, please, just let me go. And they were like, "We need to call the ambulance." And I've had an accident before, actually. So I'm thinking, all right, they're going to call the ambulance and they're gonna know I'm okay, and then I'm just gonna drive to work. But I'm like, my dad has to help me fix my car. Like, it's just a lot of different things, going through my head, but still not knowing that my legs were damaged the way they were, So the ambulance came, and they were talking about, they was like, your legs are pretty damaged and everything. Like, we're gonna flip you over so we can put you on the what's that, the gurney or whatever it is. They were like, "We're going to put you on that, and we're going to helicopter you to the hospital." And it's like, wait, what helicopter? That automatically makes you think like, this is bad. Like, I'm about to die. Like, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, so they put me in there, and I'm asking them like, "Guys, am I about to die?" I'm like, "Am I going to die?" They're like, "No, you're not going to die." And I'm like, "Please." I'm like, "I have a twin sister. She can't live without me. Like, you cannot let me die." I was like, "Do whatever you have to do." They was like, "Your legs are damaged. They're really damaged, but you're not going to die." And I was hearing them saying how bad my legs were damaged, but I never thought that it was to the point that they were damaged. I'm still thinking like, I'm always thinking like, it's okay. Like, I'm always going to be okay. Like, all right, me and the person hit, and I'm like, okay. I woke up, I'm like, okay, I still got my body. Like, oh, it's okay. Like, you don't think that deep when you, I guess, not die. I'm like, you're still alive, so you're trying to keep pushing. You never know how bad, your situation is. And that's pretty much how it went.
Yeah, that's a lot. You said so many statements there that definitely just took me, because again, guys, I do want to say that we haven't had a conversation about this accident, the incident, the tragedy, or the triumph really about it, because I wanted to have this authentic conversation here. So please forgive me if some of the things that you say are a little bit like, whoa, because just hearing you think about asking someone, "Am I going to die?" Still being, again, this is just how a lot of people are. I still need to get to work, but you're like in a bad situation and you're still thinking that. And then like your twin needs you, and for them to not let you die in that situation. So there's a lot of things that in the matter of seconds, all are rushing through your mind in that situation. And I think important part too, though, is when we get further in the story is where you were working and where you were actually trying to get to.
Right.
So you were, to my understanding, CO at the time, right?
I was a CO. I was a CO at Southwoods. I just passed the academy in 2017 in February. So then I started working in the jail after I passed the academy. And then that October, I end up getting a car back in like 2015. I got my nice little new car, and then I'm like, my life is just going pretty okay. But, at that time I had different jobs. Like, I'm just trying to make it. So when I got to this academy job, and then, that felt like it was like a relief. Like, I finally got stable. Like, this is it. I got benefits. I got a good career. I got, nice money. Like, this is going to be it. And, I can go from there. So after I passed that, I got to end up getting a house in Pinch Grove. And then October, I got in an accident. So it was like it felt like everything was going good after I got past the academy and working in the jail and, looking at my checks like, wow, looking
at that check like,
this check is
look
good.
Yeah.
So it was like really good. I'm like, all right, like I'm on my way, just starting my life, like, my career, and like, okay, this was just the first step. I never really per se wanted to be a correctional officer, but I figured that was just my foot in the door to progress and get to something else, so, and that's what I wanted to do, like progress and, be something else. But
something like maybe in law enforcement, or
I was going to do like law enforcement, like, be outside the prison, maybe like parole or something like that. But I just wanted to like put my foot in the door because I always feel like I always like talking to people or helping somebody. Like, you know, like even if people are in these situations, like being on parole, like, you know, just want to pick somebody up because, you know, I know how I know how it could be.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. And you shared a lot with us there. So we have the accident happens, you get helicoptered to the hospital.
Hmm.
And then did you, at any point between getting in the helicopter, did you like, not say like black out, but did you become unconscious where you didn't know anything else until a point where maybe you woke up and was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah. After I asked them to keep me alive, you know, because I don't want, you know, my sister, that was the blackout. Like when they told me like I wasn't going to die, it just felt like everything just closed in and it was like a blackout. And then I woke up and it was like, I thought it was Saturday, but they said like I woke up on a Friday. And the first person that I remember when I actually woke up, I looked over to my left and it was my twin sister. She was there and it was just like, and I said something funny to her and she started laughing and it was just like, it just felt good like to look over and see her there, being that at that time me and her had a little like confrontation, something very minor, you know, sister sibling thing, you
For
know.
sure.
But then, you know, to look over and see her there, it's just like, what's up? Like, what's up, sis? Like, I'm all right, right? She's like, you all right, need it. I'm like, yeah, you know. It was
Yeah.
one of those like moments.
No, that's beautiful because again, it's interesting that the last thing you remember saying was about your sister, and then when you woke up, she was the first person there. So that's the first person that you saw. I'm gonna say
Yeah.
there, but first person that you saw. I think that's a beautiful thing. When you woke up and you saw your sister, and you just did everything start coming back to you, or did you like? How do you? Because I've been in a situation before where I didn't really know like stuff that happened until people kind of like told it
That's
back to
how
you.
I-
Is that how you
yeah.
knew, or you just remembered?
Well, I remember a couple people like being there, and I'm still getting stories to this day. Like people like, you know, I came there, right? And I'm like, nah. They like, you don't remember me like coming there and you talking to me? I'm like, I don't remember, but I'm like, they like, you was having good conversation and like, I'm like, I remember trying to always feel like I was aware, like, you know, because I'm always that type that want to let you know, like I'm how I'm feeling or make you feel like, you know, important a little bit, like, you know, I'm appreciative. So, but then the times went and I'm like, I don't remember these people there. I'm like, yeah, they wasn't there, and they're like, I was right there with you, Danita, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like, you know, yeah, it felt bad a little bit, but I
Yeah.
know how I felt probably at that time. It was all love, and you know, it wasn't. It wasn't bad. You know, it's no bad blood. I just don't remember. And that's the sad part, that I don't remember. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I guess it could be. So sometimes, like, people say that denial has a grace to it. And so I'm not saying you were in denial, but sometimes maybe like our minds and hearts couldn't have, maybe you couldn't have been able to tolerate all of the emotions that you would have had to
Yeah, that's
experience
true.
if you were totally conscious and
Right,
aware
right.
at those times, because I can only imagine how traumatic it was. And so you're there, you're working through it. I know there was a lot of rehab, a lot of different surgeries and
Right.
different obstacles you had to go through in order to go through this point. Was there any point on terms of trying to get back as far as just your health concern where you wanted to like give up, or like what kept you going?
So I got in an accident on that Thursday. The doctor pretty much did the best he could because he said the accident was like really bad. My legs were damaged from the femur on down. It just missed my hips by an inch. So everything was broken from my femur to my knees to my tibia, fibula, like everything
On
was
both legs?
both legs.
Wow.
Everything. My femur popped out on my right leg. I had no femur. Just everything was damaged. So they just tried to put everything back together. He tried to put everything back together the best he could because he was trying to avoid infection. But being that the bone popped out, he knew it was that possible infection. So that happened on that Thursday. Then that Monday, he was like, you know, we're going to tackle this. So he went on that Monday, did everything that he could do. Then I had therapy on that Tuesday. Then I went back in surgery on that Wednesday because he didn't like something that he did. Then I went back back in surgery again on that Friday, and then that's when I caught the infection, and then that's when I was in the hospital for 2 months. But those 2 months, like I heard that I had an infection, but I didn't know it was MRSA. Like I didn't know how bad it was. It was just like I got an infection. I'm like, I'll be okay. I'm like, I'll be okay. I didn't. They just said it's infection. They never said MRSA. If they probably would have told me it was MRSA, my brain would have went somewhere else. Right. My faith would have went somewhere else. Like I'm better when I don't know, and just try to, go with things. So that infection happened, and was the setback. And then that's when I was in the hospital for 2 months, and they just did constant cleaning until he could clean the infection out. Like he never gave up. And he seen that I was the type that like was not going to give up. Like, do whatever you need to do. And I told him that, like, when he was there talking to like my parents and everything in the room, and I couldn't really understand everything he was saying. Because I was in and out.
Right.
And I told him, like, I looked at him, I was like, am I going to be able to walk again? And he's like, yeah, you'll be able to walk again. I'm like, okay, do your job and I'll do mine. Like, it was just, and it sounded cocky, but it was just the confidence that I had. As long as I can make sure I can walk, then I'm going to walk. There's no doubt in my mind I'm not going to walk. That's going to happen. As long as you're going to save my legs, now watch your work, and then you can watch me work on your work.
Yeah, so. I love that, man. You are something that you said there too that adds to that is you said if you would have said MRSA, your brain would have went one place and your faith would have went another place. Mm-hmm. How did you keep the faith? Like, I hear how you talking, and it is powerful, but I'm just thinking, if that's me or maybe somebody that's listening to it, even when we're thinking about any obstacle in our life where we're hearing this bad news, it could sound like a death sentence or the most terrible thing, and it's like, listen, if we can just get X, Y, and Z taken care of, I'm going to keep pushing. Like, that's powerful. So you got to let us know, how is your faith staying that strong?
We have a real strong family. I have a real great support system. And my mother and my father and, my family were there the whole time. So it always made me feel just so strong and just so faithful. We prayed every surgery. We prayed every day. Like, I just knew that everything was going to be okay. My dad said his sister's in Georgia, she's an apostle. Like, she was praying for me, and which is my aunt. And I just feel like when she prays, things happen. Like, she prays, and like, that's it. That's all. Like, I'm like, oh, she prayed, this is going to happen. Like, it is just the faith in that, just knowing, like, when you have all these people praying for you, like, God is listening. He's just working. You can't hover over God. You can't let him do what he's going to do.
Are you sure you're not the apostle? You talking like it. You can't hover over God. Did you hear what she said? She said it. That's it. That's all. Wow.
Yes.
Man, I'm feeling like it's Sunday. You gotta put past the offering plate around or something for you. No, that's powerful. And I mean, honestly, I think that's one of the things that I like while we have the show is we get to hear different stories and people's faith and how it was tested. And some people, to be honest, they stray away from God when they're facing those tragedies. Yes. They don't go more towards or anything closer than that. So thank you for sharing all that. And I know it's helping somebody out there. That's facts. So we're here. We're in the recovery. MRSA, to God be the glory. That was taken care of. And then where we go from here when we're out of the hospital.
So then I ended up going to rehab, and I was there for about 2 weeks. I did everything I needed to do. And then I went home. So I was getting therapy, learning how to try to walk. I was in my wheelchair, but they were trying to bend my legs. At this point, my legs were just straight, like straight. So I'm getting home therapy. They're doing that, and then I go to outpatient therapy, and we're working for a year, and then boom. He comes and he sees that he doesn't like something in my leg. It's not, he doesn't like how the growth was, because what he did was take the bone out of my tibia, which on my left leg, and put it in my femur. So that's like one of the weakest bones, to try to make that one of your strongest bones in your body, because your femur is the strongest bone. So I was moving on it. I was walking on it, but the bone didn't grow like he wanted, but it was growing, but it didn't grow like he wanted. So then he had to go back in my leg, and then that's when I got that distal femur replacement, which was making the whole leg metal, just prosthetic. So I still have my legs, it's just no bone, and I'm metal from here down, Just
Wow, I
automatic.
did not know that. So from years. Okay, that makes sense then. So that's a lot of surgeries too, though.
Yeah, we on 32 surgeries.
Wow.
32 surgeries.
32 surgeries.
And a possible, well, not a possible, but we're going to have another one soon coming up.
Well, we definitely going to have our prayers with that. And that's it. That's all. So we already know that's going to be good. So you're recovering, going through all of these things. Now, there obviously was different things that happened. Not obviously, excuse me. Let me start over because you guys don't know their story. So there's more to it. We getting through the medical part. We're getting through the what happened as far as the accident goes. But life had a little bit more to throw at you.
Yes, it did. So within that year, about May, I get a call from the state troopers want me to come down and do a statement.
You never talked to them at any point from the accident to this day?
Never talked to them.
Not today,
yeah,
but
prior to me getting home, I didn't talk to them. So they called me and they want me to come down and make a statement. And I'm like, okay, I'll come make a statement. So I go down to the barracks, make the statement, and on spot they tell me that pretty much I'm arrested. And I had to take photos of, fingerprints, like just doing things. And I'm like, what? But then I end up getting like released. I don't really know how that part worked, but I end up like getting released because there was like no bail reform in New Jersey or something like that. So I didn't get out like on bail, but I end up getting released. And then that May comes and I was in the paper because I got indicted. And that's when like everything changed. Like that's when they were saying like, you could possibly do 5 years in prison. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, this was an accident. Like there's no way I'm doing 5 years away from my family, away from the people I love. Nah, we not doing that. And then my family's like, nah, you're not going to prison, Danita. Like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And I'm like, yo, y'all sure? Like, it's making me unsure now, And I'm like, I'm like, yo, I'm telling the story. I have nothing to hide because it was nothing. There was no drugs. There was no alcohol. It was an accident on the way to work. And unfortunately, the guy passed away. And another guy was injured. But as far as I know, to this day, he's okay. But the guy that passed away, he was 77. So he passed away. But however, backstory, I didn't know. 2 weeks after my accident, I did hear someone passed away. But I didn't really know, I was just like, oh, well, it's an accident. Like, I didn't mean it. It was an accident. Like, I'm sorry. But everybody was just pretty much trying to keep that away from me because I was still going through my own things. So I did hear that somebody passed away, no doubt. But, like, I just never thought that it was going to go as far as it went. And then me getting indicted and everything. And then I'm in the newspaper. I was so embarrassed. Like, I turned my phone off. But people were wanting to hit me up because they did want to social support. Like, nobody came to me on no other type, stuff. They were just like, hey, Nita, you okay? Do you know you in the paper? Yes, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I heard.
Right.
Like, I didn't want to read the article. I was so embarrassed. Like, I'm not used to being in the paper for no mess like this. I'm used to being in the paper for, stuff like that, And it was a hurt piece. It was a hurt piece that, somebody died. It was a hurt piece that I was possibly about to do prison time. Everything was just so much, and still trying to deal with my legs, trying to heal from that. It was just so much just hovered over me. And all I wanted to do was just try to succeed for life. Like, I finally got to my point in life where I was good, or at least I thought, and then boom, life hits you. Another part of life hits you. And then now you going through this, it was tough.
Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot because you went down and give a statement and got arrested.
Right there.
That's
right
unbelievable. There. And again, it's just a twist of the tables because this whole thing started when you were going to work at a prison.
Because I was the CO.
Yeah, now you're giving a statement and being arrested. I mean, that's just it's like, obviously it was a setup. I mean, they knew they were going to arrest you. So just asking you to give a statement, like they should have just arrested you.
Right.
And then you wouldn't have known that you was getting arrested instead of coming down like, yeah, I'll come down and give a statement.
Right.
Like,
they already knew. I felt like they already knew. Like, they let me do everything and then it was like, okay. And then like they read me the mini Miranda. I'm like, wait. wait, what? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that was so, my stomach was turning. I was like, no way. I'm like, how long I got to stay here? They was like, nah, well, you'll be able to leave. You got to get this and that. I'm like, all right, like this is, and then, I mean, I didn't know it was going to go in the paper. And then it went, and then it went in the paper. Like, you're indicted for blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, like, this is ridiculous.
Have you read the article since then?
I have read it.
Yeah.
I have read it. And then the crazy thing is, after that, it seemed like the articles kept getting generated like over and over. Like,
So it was multiple times.
yeah. And that's even more embarrassing. And then my family was trying to keep me from not knowing that, like, I was in the paper today. Like, everybody always tries to look out for my well-being, like, because they know my heart and they know that's not like something, that's not me, and that's how I feel about this family. Like, that's not me. Like, I know you know me because of this situation, but if you were to know me, you would not feel that type of way about me. You Yeah. And my heart goes out to them because I'm not sure how they feel right now, but even at one point I was praying for him. Like, I didn't want no resentment. Like, I didn't want none of that. Like, I'm sorry, but sorry isn't enough when you take someone's loved one's life. Like, I know they like, oh, well, if her legs are messed up, who cares? Like, they took, someone passed away for us because of her, So I understand, because if it was vice versa, I would feel the same way. So
so if it was vice versa, you would feel like
I would be angry.
You would be angry.
Would
you have wanted their loved one to have to go to prison though, or?
Good question. As much as they pushed, I'm not sure. I would just have to feel how I see the situation, like me being in prison and making my statement to them in like a genuine, sincere, statement, and what I was saying to them. Like, sometimes you just can't look at people. You gotta kind of read them and like feel their heart. And if deep in your heart it wasn't what it was, I wouldn't want that for the person that did that. Like, would I be mad? Yeah, but it's like, sometimes it's like, dang, it's an accident. Then you just gotta pray, like, God, whatever this is, help me understand, and that's how it would have to be for me.
I feel that. Listen, you guys aren't here in the studio to be able to feel that, but I feel that it was definitely 1,000% genuine answer, because you really thought deeply about it, and that's facts, because everybody can't say that they would be like, yeah, that I don't want them to go to prison. But if you know somebody's heart and you can feel that and you can see the situation, then maybe you would be able to be more open to not having them not having to go to prison. Because I mean, that's a whole different conversation about prison and what it does or doesn't do for people, and why we push for that in certain circumstances. What is it going to ultimately do, really, in terms of that? But there's so much grief in this story, just from your legs, just the trauma you've had to experience, then the situation as far as your name being in paper. That's grief too, because to an extent, the way I'm understanding it is, that's not associated with you. It's not associated with your name. You're not in these circumstances. So to have to see that, like you said, that's not me. So were you moving through, especially around this time with all the legal stuff, in like an out-of-body experience, like you're watching people prosecute a person that's not Danita Hamilton, or are you looking at it like, wow, how did Danita Hamilton get here?
No, at this time I started really like paying attention to my case and what they were doing. And then I'm seeing that they have me wanting to serve like 5 years in prison. And then I'm seeing articles of other people with the same circumstances or worse, or drunk or drugs, and hit a kid and had 30 citations prior to that. And then she gets probation. And then the same thing happened as my case happened. A guy hit someone else and unfortunately killed his dad and killed another lady. And then he gets fines and maybe like 77 days in jail, like just nothing, and then you get my situation, no drugs, no alcohol, prison. And I'm like, how did this happen? And it was crazy, because it almost makes you think, because I never wanted to think like it was a race thing, because I hate using that race card, because people throw it out quick, race. I never wanted to use that race card.
Right.
But then you're seeing two people with these situations, and then you see my situation, but I'm going to prison. You get off and had thousands, you had so many incidents, and you had 30 incidents, and you get probation. We're still in South Jersey with this situation, and you get this, and then he gets that, and I go to prison. How does that work? If you're going to be whatever across the board, then be whatever across the board. How am I getting this and you're getting this? And was I angry? Yes. Because I'm looking at it and then I'm like, is it race? I don't know. But I don't like to use that because I don't care about black or white or Chinese or Asian. Like, I don't care about that, but then you look at it and then it's like, maybe it is. Possibly.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you got to look at it in all angles when it's you, especially, and especially like, it's not something that adds up if you're looking at every person's scenario and situation. It just didn't make sense. And while people who don't know, while she keeps saying this, and you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, difference between jail and prison is 364 days or 365. So that, just because I know you, and I've seen you talk about that on social media before too. Somebody was like, wait, you went to jail? You're like, no, I went to prison. I was upstate. You said it like,
because I ain't going down, like, don't downplay. I went to prison. They sent me upstate.
That's a major difference.
Right. I'm like, geez.
It's a major difference. So we get there, you find out this, you get in, you have the indictment to some, you must have been found guilty. I don't want to make an assumption. I mean, obviously you went and did time, or did you plead guilty, or what?
So
I don't know if you can talk about that legally.
Oh yeah, it's over. Everything is done. So I got that. Then I had a lot of court dates, but they continually kept being postponed. So I didn't do any. I ended up pleading guilty in 2019. In June 28th, day after my birthday. I'll never forget. I ended up pleading guilty. So November 1st was when that we were going to find out pretty much if I had to go to prison or not.
What did you plead guilty to?
Violation of what's it called? So stupid. I always forget it because I hate it.
But it wasn't like manslaughter or
it wasn't
vehicular
manslaughter.
homicide or anything
No.
like that.
It was second degree violation of something. I can't even think of it right this second.
No, it's okay. I was just trying to be clear that it wasn't like you were sentenced for like
manslaughter or
life.
something. Yeah, no, it wasn't that. It was second degree violation of public health and safety.
Okay.
That's what it was called. Violation of public health and safety. It was a traffic ticket.
That requires you to do
prison time.
Wow.
A traffic ticket. I went to prison for a traffic ticket. That's it. So that's what they limited to. So being that we did the court date November 1st, and we read all the issues, they was doing pretty much like the pros and cons, like, okay, this is good for her, 1, 2, 3, 4, but this is like 1, 2, 3. My goods outweighed the bad, but the judge decided to, like, prison. Like, you're going to serve 4 years of prison time. And they took me back November 1st. I thought I was going to get, like, house arrest or something. I didn't think that I was going to go to prison that day.
You're sitting there, pled guilty, day after your birthday, thinking that you're going to get house arrest.
Right.
And then you're found guilty, and they take you right there.
Yeah.
Like
In November, we went to have a court date, and at that time, what's crazy, at that time I ended up having a surgery a couple weeks before that. So my lawyer had asked the judge, like, can we please give her maybe a couple weeks because she has to go to the doctors on Monday. She just had another recent surgery. She needs to, like, check it out, and and then I went to every court date, so I wasn't trying to run.
Risk,
yeah,
right,
would, and if they thought that, they would have never been let me go this long. So the judge asked the family that was grieving, that feels some type of way, like, what do you think? As I never understood that part, because we asking you as the judge and you're asking them, and clearly they was like, no, we're tired of waiting. We need her in prison. Like, they wanted that. And so they took me back with the infection in my leg. And then more comes with that. I go in prison. They booked me and everything. Now I'm at Salem County in there, and my leg ended up getting infected while I was there. And then they sent me to the hospital. And then they still trying to keep me there. Then I finally go upstate. And then they look at my leg, and now I'm in the prison system. Now I'm upstate in the prison system with this infection in my leg. They couldn't handle it. They were trying to ask the people that they contract with, the 2 hospitals that they contract with, they were asking them, like, what can we do with her leg and everything. And they're also trying to contact my doctors. And my doctor's telling them, get her here because her leg could possibly be cut off. She has a long metal piece in her leg. She can't afford anything. She needs to get here because if not, her leg's going to get cut off from the hip up. They were saying they could do it, whatever. They realized they couldn't. And I was in the system for 21 days until they decided that, okay, we can't handle it. Then they let me go. And so I end up coming home November. I end up being released November 21st of 2019. And then I end up going straight to Delaware to get my leg clean. And that's when my doctor was telling us a lot of things, your leg could have possibly been amputated because Camden actually was trying to amputate my leg. When I was in the hospital there, they told me okay, well, I was there for a week. Let me back up. I was there for a week and I'm sitting there with they know me having an infection and no doctors or anything came. They just kept feeding me with medication and the IV and everything like that. And they already
this is the hospital at the Camden County Jail?
Yeah, this is the hospital because I was in Salem. And then they shipped me to they took me to Camden Cooper because that was the best to take me to from Salem. But then the prison ended up taking over, and then I ended up going state. So then the state came in because they felt like they could take care of me. So they took me out of Camden. And then that's when I went up North Jersey. And I got there and they realized they couldn't take care of me. And so they shipped me back to Camden because they were supposed to ship me to Delaware. I still was supposed to be in prison. But then I guess it was too much money to ship me being in prison from Jersey to Delaware. They didn't want to handle that.
Gotcha.
So they released me.
When they're shipping you, what are they shipping you on? I'm just trying to see.
They taking me in an ambulance.
Okay,
a big ambulance truck, and they had me laid in there.
Curious because I didn't know if you were still okay. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, they had me handcuffs, feet cuffs, as if I could move. It was so uncomfortable, and always embarrassing because when I was in Camden, I would see people that I would know because people would work there, and I would put my head down because I have the cuffs on and everything, or I try to cover it with a blanket, just so they don't see me. And then they'll see me and it's just they kind of wave, but I don't want them to know that I know these people, and it's just hi, and putting my head down. It was just such an embarrassing moment that I'm getting hot thinking about it.
No,
I hate it.
I can only imagine. I just was trying to understand how they're moving you to different places and all of that. And then did you ever physically go back to your house after the November 21st, when you were released out because they couldn't take care of the infection? Did you ever go to your house or just a different hospital?
Yeah, I ended up going straight to Delaware because they couldn't get the infection. So it was just it's another setback, after I felt like I made it all the way through, and then, the indictment, and then prison, and then the infection, and then I got there, and then they end up cleaning the infection out. They only had to do 2 clean outs, which was a blessing because he didn't know how many clean outs that he was going to do. But what's crazy is the people in Camden were going to just cut my leg off. Yeah, you have an infection, we're going to cut this off. And I'm I've been through too much for you to cut my leg off. I'm not doing that. You're not cutting my leg off.
Yeah.
And then my doctor got me and he washed it out and he did everything he needed to do. And it was only 2 washes, but then I had to stay in the hospital for another month. Then I got released like right after prison in 2019. And then I ended up going back home. So I was done. I was prison done, nothing, but I did have to go back to a court meeting in that February of 2021. So I went there and COVID hit. And so I was free for months, other than different court dates and everything. They kept postponing them, but they definitely wanted to get me. Like the family definitely wanted me in prison. They were trying to do everything. I know they were trying to do everything to get me there, but I was just trying to remain strong, try to keep pushing myself to get better and not think about like the prison and everything. And then you got my family praying and we in there fasting. We are doing everything. I was so like, I know I'm not going back. Like, I was real confident, so to say. But and then my life changed again.
And then you ended up having to go back to prison, right?
Yes.
And then how long, what was that? Like, how long did you have to go?
I went for 10 months, but I had to serve pretty much, it was like a year. So it was 11 months and 26 days that I had to serve until whatever. So in October, I ended up going back to prison. No, I'm lying. I got guilty again in October, but then I ended up catching COVID, so I couldn't go back when they sentenced me, and then I went back to the jail to turn myself in again, and I had a temperature, so they sent me back home. So I didn't try it twice, and then they tried it again in January. And in January, the judge was like, nah, she's sitting here pending to go right there. Like, we're not playing with her. We're taking her right back to prison. So at this time, like, I went back and I'm in my wheelchair and they sent me back to prison.
I was going to ask that. So at that time, you were in your wheelchair in prison.
I was still trying to, like, just work out and everything. Before that, I'm still trying to work out, still trying to gain everything. Getting my surgeries and setbacks and surgeries and setbacks and trying to keep the faith. And then you hear this and then you hear that and then you're pushing and then you got to smile because you out here and then another surgery. And then you're like, geez, like,
it's a lot.
Sleepless nights.
It's a lot on your plate there. And I can only imagine that. And so kind of as we start to wrap it up, I do want to see like so you're in prison. You have 11 months and 26 days. I won't mess it up. I know that, that's a lot to overcome. How'd you get through that? Like just being in prison and being able to just walk and do all those things can be very detrimental for anybody. Mm-hmm. So now I'm being there and you're also challenged with your wheelchair and just trying to overcome all of that. And you're here smiling, telling this story. So how did we get through those 11 months and what was that like?
Well, at first it was hard, and that's where when we, I talked about like faith earlier and everything like that. I end up losing my faith in being mad, at God and everything. And then I just one day just woke up and was like, everything is going to be okay. Like, he got me. I'm all right. Like, I'm about to just bust these days out. And I found a routine. I prayed. I read my Bible like 8 times a day. It didn't matter what I did. I was just doing a lot of stuff to keep myself busy. And in prison, you just gain a routine. And that's what I did. And I prayed and I talked to my family and they were there for me. And I went in with a wheelchair and I came out walking.
Woo, say it again.
I came in a wheelchair and I came out walking. When they came to pick me up, I had a roller and I was rolling out. I don't even know where the wheelchair was.
Wow.
I can't even tell you.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That might be a book title. That's finding a routine, getting through it every day.
Just believing in God.
So your family picked you up from the prison, or did you have to take like a
I
home?
end up getting picked up. I had to go to the halfway house. Okay. So I got accepted in the halfway house, and then I had to be there for 5 months. And then they picked me up on October 26, 2021, and which was the same date as my accident, October 26, 2017.
Wow. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, and I'm only smiling. I please want you guys to understand. I don't think anything about this is funny, but I could just feel the joy and what you've been being able to overcome, and how inspiring that's going to be for other people. And I'm just excited that you're sharing your story, because a lot of times people go through a lot of things like this and we never get to hear that part of their story. But it's such a powerful testimony on so many levels that I know it's going to help people just overall in any circumstance similar to yours, or maybe not. Maybe they didn't go to prison, or maybe their prison is a different form. Maybe it's not a physical institution where they're institutionalized, but they needed to hear some hope and to kind of go through that. So when we talk about Nita Strong, we got to talk about that, because that's been something that's been a big thing for you. The hashtag, you got your wristbands here. We got some powerful sayings on them. What does mine say?
Grow through what you go through.
Grow through what you go through. Do I have something different here? Yep, I do. Victory through perseverance. And I just want to make sure that we know definitely like how we can we purchase the wristbands? Or?
Well, I have a couple of wristbands left, actually, like with these colors. And I had got these made when I was in prison, because every wristband just dictates every part of my life as I was going through this whole situation. So we just started out like Team Nita Strong. And then it was, faith over fear, Jehovah Rapha, another faith over fear. We did it again. Then this one was still standing. That was the time I ended up going to the prison the first time. Then me coming out, and then leaning on God's promises. This is like different ones for the different stages of my life. And I will always just give them to people. Anytime somebody come visit, that's how I started this Nita Strong. When you come to the hospital and you to come visit me, then I'll give you a bracelet. Like, it was no cost. Like, the cost was the fact that you took your time out your day to come see me. That was appreciative. That was enough for me. Just, your presence was enough for me. That's all I needed. So when you got a bracelet, that's because you came and see me. Like, people like, oh, can I get a bracelet? Well, come and see me.
Right.
You want to get a bracelet? Come and see me. Like, So, but that's how, like, Nita Strong pretty much, like, came. And my favorite one, honestly, I guess I'm a little biased, is the faith over fear, because I remember going through all those surgeries, and then I started getting nervous, and then I got that one made, and it's like faith over fear, and I'm like, faith over fear, right? Like, faith over fear, like you can't worry and pray at the same time. Like, we're gonna get through this, and I just always totally believed that, and then that's when like Nita Strong came. I'm like, yeah, like, dang, Nita is strong. Maybe I am strong. Nita strong.
Nita's hella strong. Let me just say that. Hella strong. And I loved having you on the show. And I definitely want to say, too, I know even though the wristbands aren't, they've got a story. They're not necessarily for sale. But we do have the socks. Let me take them out of the bag.
Yeah.
Here.
They came in different colors and everything, but...
So we got the socks right here. So we're going to make sure we link to where you can follow Nita on social media so you can get in touch with her or get the socks. These are mine. You guys can't have them. But yeah, we're going to make sure that you definitely can get these. I'm loving it. It's definitely showing, it's symbolic to the tragedy, the triumph, if you look close to it and you see that. So we appreciate that. I can't let you off the hook though. So every time I have someone come on the show, I like to ask them this one question as we wrap up here. If you had to choose a color for your grief, what would it be and why?
It'll be purple, because purple shows royalty, like strength. It's just like something strong. Like, purple is just royal, and I just believe this. Like, everything is all right. Like, can't explain it. It's just a strong, like, top. Like, I'm up here. Like, it's all good.
You definitely up there, guys. Listen, if the energy, the wisdom, the positivity, just the transparency, if it's not contagious, then I don't know what you're doing. I feel like I can overcome anything from hearing her story. Definitely make sure you guys are following. She's sharing her story, being very transparent, very open, not embarrassed about any aspects of it, which is interesting, because I was going to say, because you talked about how embarrassing it was, but I saw you on social media when you put out there that you were a convicted felon, which I didn't know that fully. I don't know. I didn't know how the whole thing worked, but I was like, man, that's really powerful for you to share this, because people, we just don't know how our lives can change.
Right.
But it doesn't really define like who we, because that's what I'm pretty much getting from the story too, is not really defining like who you actually like are at your core. But I do think that you might have developed into a different version of yourself, not intentionally, like because who the heck wants to go through all of this to get there?
Do that, right.
But like it's just, I'm just telling you right now, and I'm going to say it, there has to be a book. Don't care if you don't care what you say.
It is.
It's going to happen.
It is. It's in the making, guys.
It's in the making. Like,
it's in the making.
Every other month. How's that book going?
Yeah.
How's that book
going? It's in the making. I do have that in the making. And I'm also on Instagram that you can follow me. I try to show little different things and positivity. You can follow me at _NitaStrong_. And I give good quotes and, you know, different things that try to just like pick you up and make your day, you know, just a little better. And that's where you can just find like different stuff and everything. So.
Yeah, and I'm speaking into existence too, and I believe this truthfully, that you're going to be touching stages all around, just sharing your story, blessing people, because you didn't go through all of this just to go through all of this. And the way that you deliver and communicate and the wisdom you have, you cannot keep it inside of you. It's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. I am the grief bully, so I'm going to bully you into sharing your grief and your story.
Thank you.
You've been an amazing guest. You're welcome here anytime on the show.
Thank you for letting me share.
Of course. Guys, I want to make sure I link to the link to our social media where you can follow, just stay connected and all that good stuff. Yes. If you're watching it on YouTube, drop us some comments. Let us know how you're feeling, what you're thinking. You already know where I hang out the most. And if you don't, what are you doing? Make sure you're following me there over on Instagram at I_am_J.Nicole, guys. So next time, you already know. Love and light. Peace.